spent the first few weeks of this series talking about different types of prayers. But starting with this session, we're going to turn our focus toward the miracles that Kyle has been preaching about on Sunday mornings. John 6 tells the story of Jesus feeding over 5,000 people with nothing but a small lunch provided by a boy. I want to make a couple of observations about this story. First of all, Mark 8 tells us that sometime after this, Jesus did the exact same thing for a group of about 4,000 people. And in that story, the disciples who had already seen and witnessed and participated in the feeding of the 5,000, those same disciples later couldn't imagine how Jesus was going to feed this crowd of 4,000 people. They said, Jesus. It was the same thing they said before. Jesus, all these people are here. How are we going to feed them? We read that story and we're probably tempted to say, how could they be so dense? They had already seen him solve the exact same problem. You know, if we're honest though, we've probably all done the same thing. We've probably all found ourselves praying to God for something, and then he answers the prayer, he meets the need, we give him thanks, we go on with life until another problem comes, and then we're filled with anxiety again, wondering how God is going to help us through this. Well, one of the great lessons of these two stories is that we can find confidence in the ways that God has provided for us in the past. It's interesting that throughout the entire Bible, the Israelites are constantly reminded of God delivering them from slavery in Egypt. The idea is this: if God came through for you then he'll come through for you today. If God could be trusted then he can be trusted today. But my second thought about the feeding of the 5,000 is this: Jesus did it with nothing more than the small lunch of a small boy. Now, if you're like me, then you've had needs before that left you thinking, how can God possibly do anything with this? Remember, God created the entire universe out of nothing. You see, God doesn't need much in order to do great things. In our story, he takes the small lunch of a young boy and he does something incredible with it. So here's a thought. What if the small thing that you gave to God was simply your faith and your trust? After all, Jesus tells us that if we just have the faith of the size of a small, tiny mustard seed, then we can move mountains with that kind of faith. So if you have a great need in your life right now, or if someone you know has a great need in their lives right now, maybe a giant mountain that you don't know how to move, what if you just offered God even a small amount of faith and trust that he will provide? So is there a giant need that you or a loved one have right now? A need that leaves you wondering, how in the world is God going to help us through this? How in the world is God going to provide here? Well, I would challenge you to take some time to reflect on the ways that God has worked in your life in the past. Reflect on the ways that he has provided for you in the past, or ways that he has provided for your loved one in the past. And let that remembrance boost your faith and your confidence and your trust in what God can do right now, today.